Hi, welcome to Proven Cures. I'm your host, Sarah McLeod. Today is Monday, October 19th, 2020, and I'm very excited to discuss with you today about a natural therapy that has been proven in clinical trials to actually reduce belly fat, also referred to as centripetal obesity or central obesity, that presents in people who have metabolic syndrome. So, no, this supplement is not for someone who just happens to have a big belly or just happens to be overweight and wants to decrease the size of their belly. This is specifically for those people who go through all the traditional ways of losing weight, which include um, burning more calories than you consume, um, cutting down on carbohydrate intake, and increasing the intake of uh, good carbs such as vegetables and high fat diets, meat, or whatever the trend is now calorically and nutritionally to lose weight. People with metabolic syndrome will follow those directions and still maintain most of their fat around the waistlines. And for that reason, this specific supplement that I'm going to talk about later in this video was studied and found to be effective in this subpopulation, of which I am one of them. Metabolic syndrome also is presented in people who have been diagnosed as being pre-diabetic and who have been diagnosed as having polycystic ovarian syndrome, also referred to as PCOS or PCOD. So I'm going to actually pulled up on the NIH website the factors that are considered characteristic of metabolic syndrome in case you're not sure if that's your problem. Um, and you would like to discuss it with a physician, this can be pulled up. I'll tell you where I found it, and you can take these factors to your physician and have the talk and see if maybe metabolic syndrome has become an issue for you and is a barrier to your weight loss goals. So here on the website for the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, which is an institute of the NIH, the National Institutes of Health. Metabolic syndrome is the name for a group of risk factors that raise your risk for heart disease and other health problems such as diabetes and stroke. The term metabolic refers to the biochemical processes involved in the body's normal functioning, and risk factors are traits, conditions, or habits that increase your chance of developing a disease. Five conditions described below that I'm going to read off are metabolic risk factors. They include, and the first one on the list is a large waistline. This is also called abdominal obesity or having an apple shape. Excess fat in the stomach area is a greater risk factor for heart disease than excess fat in other parts of the body, such as on the hips or buttocks. Second is a high triglyceride level. Um, Third is a low HDL cholesterol level. Fourth is high blood pressure. And the fifth factor or fifth condition is high fasting blood sugar or mildly high blood sugar, as a sign of being pre-diabetic. So let me get to the study here. So these kinds of people with metabolic syndrome, were specifically recruited for this study that I'm about to share. And the title of the study is A Pilot Study Investigating the Effect of Caralluma fimbriata extract on the risk factors of metabolic syndrome in overweight and obese subjects, a randomized controlled clinical trial. It was published June of 2013 in a journal called Complementary Therapies in Medicine. The authors are Katie Astell, Michael Mathai, Andrew McAinch, Christos Stathis, and a Chinese named Xiao Su. And I'm going to go back to the camera because once I read this study, I am a metabolic syndrome sufferer. I was diagnosed with PCOS during puberty, and I have been fighting centripetal obesity ever since. I'm someone who has lost up to 80 to 100 pounds at a time and still maintain most of the weight, of the excess weight rather, around my waistline. So this is something I've been battling all of my adult life. So when I saw this study, I immediately purchased the product, and I'm trying to cut the glare on it so you guys can see that. Caralluma, Caralluma, fimbriata, Fimbriata, Caralluma, fimbriata. Okay, you got that? All right. So now let me reopen the study here to share the results with you. So the study starts off with the objectives. Central obesity is a key component of metabolic syndrome, as I explained, and it is often associated with other risk factors such as dyslipidemia, elevated glucose levels, and elevated blood pressure. In this study, the effect of Caralluma fimbriata, an edible cactus succulent extract in combination with controlled diet and physical activities, was assessed in overweight and obese Australian subjects. So the study was conducted in Australia, and please note here that the Caralluma fimbriata was not expected to work on its own. All of these study subjects were expected to control what they eat, restrict their calorie consumption, and I'm sure their carbohydrate intake as well. And the reason why I say I'm sure of that is because doctors have told me since my early 20s to always watch my carbs in order to control the accumulation of fat around the waistline, and also include physical some form of physical activity into their daily operations. So this is not a cure-all. It is not something that works by itself like some magic bullet that's just gonna make you snatched in your waist without the waist trainer. No, it is a supplement. It's something that you supplement adequate diet and exercise with, so that you can have a smaller waistline. So, this was a randomized, double blinded, placebo controlled clinical trial. What that means is that, and the trial recruited 43 people. What that means is, of the 43 people, some randomly were given the Caralluma fimbriata and some were randomly given a placebo. Double blind means that neither the study staff nor the participants knew what they were going to get ahead of time. The only Everything was blinded, so the only people who would have known what the participants received would be the manufacturers of the Caralluma fimbriata, which I'm sure changed the name of the drug, or well, it's not a drug, but changed the name of the supplement and everything, so no one knew what anyone was getting, but they would be able to the manufacturer would be able to identify who got what in their database. That's how that works. So anyway, 43 adults were recruited between the ages of 29 and 59 years old, and in order to be recruited they had to have a body mass index, that BMI, over 25, um, which I guess in Australia is considered obese. In the United States, it's 30. So a BMI over 30 is considered obese, or at least that's what I've heard. I'm sure there are going to be differing factors or differing opinions on that. Um, Also, the waist circumference was a part of the eligibility criteria. So if your BMI was not over 25, if you were a man with a waist circumference over 94 centimeters or over 80 centimeters as a female, you were also eligible to participate. 33 participants, so 33 of the 43 completed the entire 12-week study at the Victoria University Nutritional Therapy Clinic. Participants were randomly assigned into two groups. So, like I said, earlier, you had your group that was given the Caralluma fimbriata extract and those who were given the placebo. And they were administered by mouth as 500 milligram capsules twice per day for a total of 1,000 milligrams per day. And of course, dietary intake and exercise were monitored weekly. So let's get down to the results. So the results of the 33 participants who who went through the study all the way to the end were as follows. The primary outcome measure was the decline in waist circumference. So by week 9, the experimental group, the group that got the Caralluma fimbriata, lost 5.7 centimeters. And you might be wondering, how does that convert to inches? So at the end of 9 weeks, they lost 2.24 inches on their waist, which is pretty amazing, compared to only a 2.8 centimeter weight a 2.8 centimeter waist circumference loss in the placebo group. So remember that all study participants were on a diet, all study participants were exercising. So it's not to say that diet and exercise won't work, but it just shows that you can have twice the benefit if you supplement with the Caralluma fimbriata, which is what made me run out and buy it once I saw 5.7 versus 2.8. No, I had to have it. So anyway, post intervention, after they completed the trial and completed everything, the experimental group had lost 6.5 centimeters compared to a total of 2.6 centimeter loss in the placebo group. That is humongous. The waist to hip ratio also improved significantly, of course, after 12 weeks of intervention in the group that received the Caralluma fimbriata, with a total reduction of 0.03 being recorded compared to 0.01 increase in the placebo group. There was also a significant decline in the visual appeal, smell, and taste of food and sodium intake in the group that received the Caralluma fimbriata. That's something. So not only did the supplement slim the waistline, but it made food less appealing overall. I don't know quite how I feel about that because I love food. I don't want to stop loving it. But if it's the trade off for having a nice, small, much smaller waist, I think it's worth it. In addition, a significant reduction in body weight, BMI, hip circumference, systolic blood pressure, heart rate, triglyceride levels, total fat and saturated fat intake within both groups was observed following the intervention period. So the conclusion is that supplementation with Caralluma fimbriata extract, while also controlling overall dietary intake and physical activity, may potentially play a role in curbing central obesity, the key component of metabolic syndrome. Controlling dietary intake and exercise improved body weight and favorably influenced the metabolic risk profile. That is exceptionally exciting news. If you are someone who has been fighting metabolic syndrome, then you are probably just as excited as I am. I'm telling you, I read this study 4 or 5 days ago, and I was that was enough for me. Oh, it was just a pilot study. It was still enough for me. I had to try it. So I actually measured my waist this morning. I feel a little funny saying what it is on camera, my weight, because I've actually been following a restricted calorie diet. Now I've been following this restricted calorie diet since August, and now it's October. Um, and I have been supplementing my my diet with all these things to keep my body in ketosis and to basically lose weight. I Since the beginning of August, I have lost 16 pounds. But let me see how much, because I've also been charting my waist circumference, and I have lost a total of 4 inches off my waist, which is awesome. But to hear that I can get more help, I'm all for it. So I'm not gonna say what my waist is because I'm embarrassed by that, but I will keep you abreast if I notice a faster reduction now in my waist circumference. Definitely, because that's what this is all about. So if you try this out and you wanna make form a club or we can keep up with each other on our progress, let me know. I'll let you know. It might be something cool to do. Definitely going to push this video for all my PCOS sisters. Our level of suffering is different from everyone else's, especially in terms of fighting infertility and um, mood swings and all the different things we have to deal with, the hirsutism and so forth. And the centripetal obesity, guys, it just gets worse as you get older. It really does. My stomach was fairly flat most of my, 20s and everything. And then, like, boom, age 30, late 30s. And it's like, you can lose weight everywhere but your belly. Belly sticking out all over. And sometimes it felt like there wasn't anything I could really do about it. But I found something to help that I'm going to delve into also in a separate video. But I am not here to tell you how to eat, what to eat, and all that kind of thing because everybody's situation is different. And I saw the Caralluma fimbriata tested in a group of subjects who were obese, but were not necessarily obese because of metabolic syndrome. And it did not work for them. The people that this worked for are the hopeless people, the people with the metabolic syndrome. So, yeah, this is targeted just for us. So I hope you find this helpful. I'm definitely going to let you know how it's been for me. The study subjects were tracked for 12 weeks and started to show signs of waist circumference reduction after 9 weeks. So you got to give it time. You have to give it time, but it's to me it's worth it. So especially for 2 whole inches, that's a whole jean size down. That's awesome. So that's the end of this. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. And thanks for tuning in. Bye.